Okay, hi guys. Now we are moving on to a technique called Kintsugi. You could just Google about Kintsugi. It is a Japanese art of putting together broken pieces because anything that is broken, you feel like bringing it back makes it even more beautiful, and we see the beauty from the broken things that needs to come together. They seal them with gold, and when they are broken, there is a proper the improper, the imperfectly perfect broken element is what will make the kintsugi look very beautiful. So we could have a Dresden tool, and so that is a cake. It's a dummy because I just wanted to showcase a technique, right? So we can use a Dresden tool. So we could use a Dresden tool to just mark the outline. So that is a straightforward way. And once that is marked, then we are going to use gold to paint it. So how do we come up with which line? So obviously it is the breaking can happen in any way, right? So it is up to you to break it in the format that you want. So that is the Dresden tool, and then you could just go ahead and then make an outline of the broken piece that you would like to do. But what I like to do is the method in which I use wafer paper. Why wafer paper? Because if I tear the wafer paper, then the breaking areas, the broken ones, really have a very natural crack is what I feel. So this is the wafer paper I have, and I'm just going to align the top with this strip, the side of the wafer paper. Okay, and then I'm just going to start tearing up the wafer paper. Okay, so let me just go. So anyway, you feel like it. So when you tear them up, what you get is pieces that are neighboring. You should know which are the pieces that are neighboring as well. So you just keep them next to each other. This top I'm just going to retain. So this is what I have at the moment. Okay, so I could go on and then tear up some more. I'm just going to so I'll be sticking them as close. So what I have here is the joints that are with the broken element. So it's going to be like that. Okay, and this is already broken, which I just retain it here. That will be there on the top. Okay, so in the same order, I'm just going to put it on the cake. What I can do here. So you can keep it as less cracks or breaks as you need, or as many or as intricate as you would like it on your cake. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. Here this looks a little broader, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to move this, keep it there, and then start with the rightmost piece. Now for this I have water. Okay, the water is there in the bowl, and I'm just going to, if it is a cake, obviously you wouldn't be lifting it, right? But so you just keep the cake flat. I'm just going to brush water to start with. So that is a joint that's draped using the panel method. I'm just going to use this one. Okay, so this one, because this is where the top is aligned. On the bottom, because the tier is shorter, it is not the entire size. Okay, so I'm just going to stick here. I'm just going to check if the water is enough. I'm just going to turn it towards me and check if I'm doing it straight down. Okay, and to this side, here's where I'm just going to use this paper. I'm leaving a bit of gap. You can see in that gap is where I'm going to have the gold painted. Just leave a little bit of gap. Okay, like that. Then check if there's enough water on the other side. And to have the excess paper at the bottom cut out. Just stretching out a bit if I find the gap is not seen properly. You want the wafer paper to stick well, but then have the cracks seen there. Okay, so that will be one part, and I'm just going and picking the strips, the broken strips. You need to keep them in order because you don't want them to get lost in not knowing which piece, and it will become like a puzzle. Adding a little bit of water on the wafer paper is quite fine as well. Am I doing the wrong side? No, this is the bottom one, right? So this is the piece I need to use. So make sure if I am matching up, and then on the top will be this one, which will be aligned here. You need to align the top, and by that, your rest of the piece will also get aligned. And I'll check if there is enough water. Here at this point is this part. Cut the one that doesn't fit the height of the cake. Chop off excess at the bottom. Check for water. And then let me come from the top again. So this will be the top. Brush water. So this wafer paper is just going to add an additional guideline of where you need to have the cracks. But then when it is there, it is going to actually make it look like there is crack out there. And you don't have to fake a crack using the Dresden tool. The top excess, we can chop it out. It will shrink, but not too much. But if it is there for like, if you're doing it and keeping it for so many days in a row, and that is when it will shrink too much. But otherwise, a day or two, it will be fine. But bit of shrink is expected. You could measure and then cut off the wafer paper initially itself to match up to the height of the cake that you're working. So everything is stuck. There is one small bit here, but I'm just going to leave that out. We need to just take out a smaller piece from the bottom one that I just ignored here, which is nothing but, I think this one should be here, but that's like a really smaller area. So I'm just going to leave it out. So the next thing is to paint gold. So we have the broken pieces put over the cake. Okay. Towel, second wipe it. It's getting sticky. Okay, so now I have another bowl in which I'm going to start using gold hairbrush. What I have here is Chef Master airbrush gold. I also have gold luster. Okay, so I'm just going to, this looks like there's like a lot of yellow tinge in it. I have the royal gold duster from Magic Colors. I'm going to add that also in. I have some vodka also. If you don't have vodka, you can use Evaporex from Fab. That's vodka. Just a little bit because I know it is that dust I have added. Let me just mix it up with a flat brush. So this depends on how much gold you like. I'm going to add the darker gold, which is the night gold, a bit as well. I'm going to switch over to a a round brush. So that's how it looks. Not too runny, but a gold. I like it a bit antique. Okay. So now I'm just going to start painting on here. Okay. So in the gaps, put on the top. So if the gold is pretty light, is it seeing? Not much. Okay, yes. So I'm just going to go inside the cracks. I'm going to add a little bit of more vodka. It's in a spray bottle. I say just spray some vodka to just lighten it up. So I'm just going to hold and take it closer so you guys could see. Going in the cracks and painting the gold. Now if it doesn't stick, just add more water, stick it, put it in place. Obviously, this is only for visual ease. I'm just holding it and then showing it to you on top. If it was a cake, then I would do it at eye level. Just get the height to my eyes height and then paint it by using the brush right in front of my eyes. I'm just trying not to touch because I'm holding it. This is not the only way, but this is the way I like to actually tear up the wafer paper, create the cracks, and then have the adjoining pieces come together. So we can take up the cracks on the top as well, depending on how we want to finish the cake. And obviously you could do it on ganache cake as well. Now you can color the wafer paper and then use it to match the color of the cake also. So when you're using the water to brush right on the cake to let the wafer stick, and at that time you could have the gel color to the color of the cake and brush over the entire wafer paper. So the wafer paper takes the color of the cake, so it doesn't have to be white. Okay, so you have the kintsugi cake. At this part which is there at the back, we can have more pieces come here and then fill up this gap as well to have a complete broken kintsugi art on the cake. So we have done this broken pieces. So on this thing on the top, we could just go on to make it neat, and we could also continue the cracks on the top as well, which you could do it with the wafer paper, or you could just use the brush and then take the gold, continue on the top. So without the wafer paper and doing the kintsugi is going to look like how I've done on the top, but with the wafer paper and that additional texture, and then these cracks that are very natural, that comes from the tearing of the wafer paper, gives it a really beautiful kintsugi effect, putting the broken pieces together, having the art of kintsugi on the cake. Now, if you make this technique, do share your results with me, and I'll be really happy to see you come up with a cake using this particular technique.